They discovered 7 unbelievable powers Satan cannot wield that will shock you. Few knew what truly happened at night under the heavy, dark shroud of the ancient desert sky. A thick silence hung over the land, pregnant with secrets. Wind hissed through the cracks of the crumbling stones, whispering tales of ages long past. This was no ordinary evening, something monumental was on the edge of revelation. It was the moment the prophets dared to challenge the very forces of darkness. Standing atop a weathered hill, Elijah gazed into the horizon, his heart pounding like the heartbeat of the earth itself. A raging storm brewed within him, a symbol of the tumult around and within. What could the Prince of Darkness truly fear? What powers did he lack, blind to their existence? The air crackled with anticipation, as if angels themselves waited to unveil their hidden arsenal against evil. People gathered below. Their faces were etched with worry, hope flickering like a fading candle. They whispered of miracles they had heard of, stories passed from lips trembling with uncertainty. Little did they know that tonight was a night destined to mark the annals of history. Elijah, a master of the Spirit, knew that not everything was as it seemed. The adversary, known for his cunning and deception, was disconnected from certain powers of the universe. 7 to be precise. One by one, Elijah's thoughts raced through the shadows. The first power. Healing without condition. Many believed Satan thrived on the suffering of the afflicted. Yet, the truth was, he could not heal a divine gift reserved only for the faithful. The crowd inched closer, eyes wide, hearts pounding at every word. Could it be true? Next came knowledge, universal understanding. Satan might twist the truth, but he could never grasp the pure wisdom of creation. He was always a step behind, outmatched by the vibrant light of insight bestowed upon the devoted. A murmur rose from the observers, disbelief mingling with awe as this truth sank in. The third power that terrified him was the act of forgiveness, a gift so powerful that it could shatter chains that bound even the most tormented. Satan could never wield mercy, only bitterness. The gasps echoed, heavy with understanding. As Elijah continued, he spoke of love, unending and unconditional. The adversary's heart was cold, void of the warmth that could soften the hardest of souls. The audience felt that sharp intake of breath. This was where hope resided. The fifth power rested in the promise of peace that surpassed all understanding. Noise, chaos, and despair were challenges that Satan thrived on, but true peace was a fortress built only by divine hands. Then, the sixth, a power wrapped in humility. Those who embraced it could defy the arrogance that the adversary embodied. The listeners felt their spirits lift. Maybe there was strength in submission rather than domination. Finally, Elijah revealed the seventh power, a force so vital that it lit up the night itself: faith. It was an unbreakable bond forged between the Creator and His creation. The crowd, electric with realization, stood transfixed. How could such potent energies remain hidden from the forces of darkness? In the stillness of the moment, tension hung thick. Could it be true? Had everyone underestimated the divine? Each heartbeat echoed in the silence. Elijah's presence loomed larger than life, the mystery thickening around him. As he lowered his voice, a suspenseful hush settled over the onlookers. Are you willing to unlock these powers of light or remain in the shadows? What will it take for us to stand united against the darkness? The question lingered, heavy like the weight of all their fears. What came next was unknown. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The wind stilled momentarily, as if the earth itself paused to hear Elijah's challenge. The silence deepened, and in that sacred void, hope intertwined with fear. Each soul who stood before him battled their own shadows, contemplating the enormity of what lay ahead. Elijah. A voice broke through the silence, uncertain yet courageous. A young boy, no more than 12, stepped forward from the gathered multitude. His eyes sparkled with innocence and a clarity that cut through the tension. How do we summon these powers? How do we unite to fight the darkness? Elijah looked upon the boy, a smile gracing his lips, for within that simple question lay the essence of genuine inquiry. The awakening starts within. To reveal the hidden, one must look beyond the surface of their hearts. Each of you holds the capacity to embrace these gifts, but you must first confront your own fears. The crowd murmured, the flickering flame of hope contained within them wavered. Could they truly confront their fears? What if the very act of seeking illuminated darkness they had long buried? But fear is familiar, a blanket draped over souls unaccustomed to the light. Is fear ever truly a foe? Elijah continued, his voice soft but carrying across the gathering. What if it is merely a guardian at the threshold of faith? The boy, emboldened, spoke again. But what if we are not strong enough to push through? Elijah's gaze rested on the boy, and he sensed the collective trepidation that loomed over them like a storm cloud. Strength lies in understanding that you are not alone. Each of you has the light of creation within, waiting to be awakened. Together, you form a circle of strength, a unity of purpose. You can light the path for one another. As the crowd listened, tentative glances exchanged, thoughts racing. They understood unity but feared what it might demand of them: resourcefulness in the face of uncertainty, vulnerability in the shadow of doubt. As the stars began to peek through the remaining layers of darkness, Elijah spoke of a dance between light and dark, an eternal struggle in which the faithful could choose where to place their allegiance. Every moment you decide to turn toward the light, you break one chain of the enemy's grasp. The more you choose love over hate, peace over conflict, the brighter your bond with the divine becomes. With this, an ember of courage stirred within the throng of faces. One man stepped forward, a once captive heart beginning to unfurl. I have lived in doubt for far too long, caught in the grip of despair. If what you say is true, then how do I turn my heart toward the light? Begin with a whisper of sincerity, Elijah urged, his eyes reflecting the growing starry canvas above. A prayer or a simple act of kindness. Start small, yet with unwavering devotion. The light will grow in you, as flowers rise after the rain. With the seeds of faith planted, hope began to blossom in their hearts. Yet, within this awakening lay an unsettling truth: could their newfound courage withstand the challenges, the trials of their character that lay ahead? The adversary was cunning, loitering not far from bone and spirit, waiting to strike at their newfound unity. What might he unleash in response to this gathering of heart-seeking illumination? Elijah's call echoed, resonating deep within every listener. Are you prepared to walk together into this unknown, to confront not only the darkness around you but also the shadows lurking within? The question lingered, casting new light on their resolution. How many of them would choose to step into the void of uncertainty, guided by faith, knowing there would be trials ahead? What would it take to transcend their fears together, to truly understand the strength they possessed? The weight of Elijah's words hung in the air, a challenge that echoed deep within each soul present. As a ripple of realization coursed through the crowd, they began to reflect on the shadows that loomed in their own hearts. Would they rise together into the light, or would the darkness continue to bind them? Night enveloped them as one by one, doubts crept into their minds. The doubts were whispers, barely audible over the crackle of the fires that flickered around them. Can we truly become the light? A woman in the back murmured, her hand clenching her husband's in a tight grip. What if our past binds us too tightly? Elijah sensed the unease swirling like smoke. Ah, my friends, he said, his tone imbued with warmth. Do you not see? The very act of coming together is a power unlike any other. When we combine our strengths, our fears scatter like dust in the wind. With courage stemming from the heart of the crowd, members began to voice their own questions, each voice an echo of the silent struggle within. What if anger lurks in us, beneath the surface? A young woman asked, her brow furrowed with worry. How do we wield love when betrayal still haunts our past? Elijah paused, allowing the gravity of her words to settle among them. Love is not a simple exchange, it is an endless well. Within it lies forgiveness, the power to release the shackles of anger that our adversary weaves into our relationships. When you truly forgive, you light a flame that no darkness can extinguish. A low murmuring of contemplation rippled through the crowd. Forgiveness was intricate and fraught with emotion, yet, it held the promise of liberation. What if they, too, could discover the power to forgive, to protect their newfound unity, and stand firm against the shadows lurking nearby? In this moment, a flicker of resolve sparked in the young boy's eyes. What else can we awaken within ourselves? He inquired, his curiosity a refreshing breeze amongst the tension. Elijah's answer came, laden with wisdom. Ah, dear one, within the essence of your soul lies additional powers, compassion, faith, hope, gratitude, patience, understanding, and joy. These are the gifts of the Spirit, untouched by the clutches of the adversary. The more you cultivate them, the more fortified you become against bitterness and despair. The crowd nodded, pondering the enormity of what can arise when individual spirits unite with a common purpose. Faith surged, but still, a lingering question began to surface in their collective minds. What if the journey to awaken these powers would plunge them deeper into the darkness of their own hearts before finding the light? Elijah caught wind of the collective uncertainty, the furrowed brows and clasped hands. You must remember, he urged, his gaze piercing through each heart like a sword of clarity, the journey does not promise safety, it requires courage. But alongside the darkness, every moment of doubt holds the key to discovering your true selves. As he spoke, an image formed before him like a tapestry being woven from individual threads, each person flickering with resolve and vulnerability. Can you not feel it? Elijah asked softly. Before you stand a multitude of mirrors, each reflection will reveal both light and shadow. The essence of true strength lies in seeing yourself honestly, in all you are and all you can become. From the depths of their unity, a resounding fervor began to rise, a collective commitment to embark on this journey together. But the acknowledgement of hidden fears clung, like shadows refusing to dissipate entirely. How would they face the vulnerabilities that they had long buried? Would they support one another, or would fear fracture their newly kindling bond? As the stars twinkled overhead, Elijah signed softly, to recognize your own capacity for greatness is but the first step. Are you ready to embrace it? Will you walk forward to challenge the darkness in unison, even if the shadows within you grow momentarily darker? The dawn broke over the horizon like a painting being brought to life, streaks of gold illuminating the remnants of the night. Elijah stood amidst the crowd, observing their faces, which were now marked with a new urgency. Together, they had resolved to confront the challenges within and without, yet in this new light, their fears lay bare. What shall we call this endeavor? One man ventured, breaking the early morning stillness. What shall bind us as we step into this unexplored journey of light? Elijah smiled, sensing their growing resolve. Let us call it the way of courage, a path forged in unity and reliance on the gifts we each carry within. Courage is the cornerstone, and together, it transforms mere steps into a pilgrimage of discovery. With every word, the crowd began to awaken from its reverie. The bond they shared was palpable, hearts were beating in rhythmic anticipation, a powerful force was budding among them. But looming questions still hovered over them like a dark cloud. What if our courage falters when faced with temptation? A voice pierced through the blossoming energy. It was a woman, older and weathered, her eyes revealing a lifetime of battles fought. How can we trust ourselves to choose the light when darkness whispers so sweetly? Elijah stepped forward, visibly moved by her vulnerability. Ah, dear sister, the struggle is a testament to the depths of our humanity. Temptation is a foe that creeps like a thief in the night, often wearing a mask of familiarity. But remember, the gifts bestowed upon you, compassion, faith, hope, gratitude, patience, understanding, and joy, serve as both armor and guide. When temptation arises, lean heavily on what is pure and true within you. Her eyes sparkled with recognition, and the tension in the air began to dissipate. Yet another voice rose, laden with uncertainty. But what if we do choose wrongly? What if we slip back into darkness? Elijah's heart ached for their trepidation. Choosing light does not mean the absence of mistakes, it means the presence of forgiveness. Each stumble becomes a lesson, each misstep a teacher. If we learn to forgive ourselves, we fortify our courage anew. The journey is one of continual growth, not a destination. The crowd began to understand, a collective breath was drawn. But as dawn turned to morning, a shadow slipped through their reflections. But who is to say what is light and what is darkness? A hesitant voice echoed in the assembly. How can we trust ourselves to discern the pure from the unholy? Silence enveloped them. The question was profound, reaching into the depths of their uncertainty. Elijah felt their struggle, a growing weight pressing against the lightness of hope. He sought to weave their doubts into a response. Discernment is cultivated through both contemplation and time spent in community. Elijah offered his insight gently, recognizing the weight of the matter. When shadows appear, seek the counsel of your kin. Speak openly about your yearnings and fears, listen to the whispers of the Spirit that dwell within your hearts, and allow the love among you to illuminate the truth. His words seemed to tether their hearts together, tugging at the strings of openness and vulnerability, yet the lingering darkness still stirred uneasily. Would they have the courage to confront their own uncertainties as they sought the truths hidden deeper within them? As they stood surrounded by the glow of the morning sun, Elijah could see flickers of resolve battling against the shadows of doubt. Are you willing to embark on this journey not only to find light but to face the darkness within? Will you allow your vulnerability to become your greatest strength, trusting in one another to reveal the truth of who you are? The crowd was silent, each face reflecting a mix of hope and trepidation. Outside the safety of their circle, the world seemed vast and challenging, a wide expanse where shadows danced freely. Would they step forward in courage, or would they hesitate in fear? The question marked the very threshold of their awakening. As the sun continued to rise, casting long shadows upon the earth, the crowd remained captive not only by their surroundings but also by the thoughts swirling within their minds. Uncertainty mingled with anticipation, each heartbeat resonating with the essence of their shared purpose. Elijah felt the weight of their unanswered questions as if they themselves were chiseled blocks of stone, awaiting the sculptor's hand to reveal their true form. New voices emerged, tentative yet eager to explore the depths of their newfound courage. Elijah, asked the young man, his brow furrowed in contemplation, if we are to confront the darkness, are we prepared to recognize the adversary in every soul? Can we truly honor the struggle in others without losing sight of our own? Elijah turned to him with a steady gaze. To honor the struggle in others is to understand that darkness resides within us all. We are inherently flawed, shaped by trials and tribulations that test the very essence of our being. Yet in acknowledging this shared humanity, we cultivate strength, compassion, and the ability to forgive that which we fear in ourselves. A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly, but doubt still flickered in the corners of their hearts. What if the darkness within becomes too great to bear? Questioned a woman, her voice trembling yet determined. How do we stand against the weight of our fears when it seems to pile upon us like the heaviest of stones? Elijah placed a gentle hand over his heart, feeling the fire of their passion, mixed with fear. It is in our vulnerability where we discover our greatest power. In opening ourselves to share our burdens, we allow the light to seep through the cracks of despair. In community, we carry one another's loads, and in doing so, we find that even the heaviest stones can be lifted when shared among many hands. He glanced around the circle, witnessing their expressions soften as understanding began to flow like a warm breeze. Another voice rang out, filled with earnestness. Yet, how do we remain steadfast against the whisperings of despair and doubt? What keeps us from straying when temptations appear so beautifully alluring? Courage does not guarantee steadfastness, Elijah replied, his tone a soothing cadence. It is a choice that we must make consistently. Embrace the gifts you each possess: the power of prayer, the strength in Scripture, the peace of shared experiences. These treasures are your shield against the allure of darkness. In moments of doubt, immerse yourself in these powers, let them weave a tapestry of resilience around your spirit. Elijah knew that the heart of their journey lay beneath the surface of these foundational powers. Yet, the most profound revelations often emerged from the struggle. And when the temptations call, remember that it is not the absence of yearning that defines you, but how you choose to respond in those pivotal moments. Will you surrender to the darkness, or will you proclaim your right to choose again? A contemplative hush settled over the crowd. Each individual was drawn into their own reflections, the implications of Elijah's words sparking inward questions. Was it their birthright to seek this light? Would they allow their courage to guide them through the uncertainties that lay ahead? The morning light began to shift, casting flickers of hope alongside the lingering shadows. An older man, who had remained quiet till now, finally spoke with a quiet confidence. And what of the influence we cannot control, the doubts that others may cast upon us, the judgments that may arise from outside this circle? How do we protect the light we endeavor to feed? Your light is yours by divine design, Elijah assured him, the truth of his words reflecting the deep wisdom they sought. No one can extinguish a flame that is fueled by purpose and connectedness. Yet, fortify your spirit with kindness and understanding. When the world questions your resolve, respond with love, and let your actions be a testament to the light that resides within. As the crowd exchanged knowing glances, a renewed energy pulsed among them. They found strength within one another, yet the question of the day lingered: could they summon the courage to step out into the world where their light might be challenged? With the dawn now fully blossomed into day, Elijah felt an overwhelming sense of anticipation. They stood at the brink of an odyssey that would not only define them but also shape the destiny of those who came after. Will you open your hearts to discover the power you hold against temptations unseen? Will you journey forth, courageously embracing not only the light you seek but the shadows that await? The questions hung in the air like the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind, leaving the next chapter of their lives yet unwritten, echoing in the hearts of a community poised at the edge of transformation. As the sun turned its face fully toward the horizon, a golden glow enveloped the gathering, casting a sacred warmth upon their skin. With each ray of light, the weight of their burden seemed to lift ever so slightly, urging them to embrace the day ahead. Elijah could sense a new current surging through the minds of the people, a rising curiosity that reflected a growing awareness of the need for action amid their shared reflection. "Tell us, Elijah," spoke a woman from the edge of the circle, her voice rising above the murmurs. "You mention light, love, and surrender to the divine. But many of us have experienced moments when the very love we long for feels absent, when the shadows loom large. How do we find hope amidst hopelessness?" Elijah pondered her words for a moment, feeling the weight of their shared experiences. "Hope can often seem elusive," he began gently. "It hides in those times of profound silence, waiting patiently for us to reach out in faith. At such moments, it is the faith of others that can serve as a flicker of light." He gestured to the faces around him, illuminated by wisdom, scars, and stories that mingled in this sacred space. "Trust in this community, for within each soul lies an ember waiting to spark your own flame." A soft ripple of understanding washed through the crowd, yet a palpable tension lingered, like fog on a cool morning. A man with hands worn from labor raised his voice. "But what if our individual flames flicker and wane? How do we regain strength when life's trials leave us weary?" "Ah," Elijah replied with an inviting smile, "that is where the first power resides, a connection beyond the self. We possess the power of remembrance. Remember the moments of joy, the laughter shared, the prayers uttered in sincerity. When the shadows dare to encroach, reach into the treasury of memories held within this circle. For you are never alone." He paused, letting the weight of his words settle among them. "It is through shared experiences that we stoke our fires, kindling courage anew. And when your flame flickers, let another's light guide you until your strength returns." From the back, an elderly woman spoke with a voice like rustling leaves. "But, dear prophet, what do we do when our very memories feel tainted by pain and betrayal? How do we use those shadows to illuminate our path forward?" "Pain is a bitter teacher," Elijah admitted thoughtfully. But in its depths, we find another power, the power of redemption. Does not the darkest night reveal the brightest stars? In times of hurt, do not shy away from embracing the moments that have shaped you. They become part of your testimony. Each scar tells a story of resilience, a tale of how you emerged stronger, offering hope to those still caught in strife. A member of the crowd nodded, contemplating his words. And when we fall? When in spite of our best efforts, we stumble back into darkness. With every fall, there lies an opportunity to rise, Elijah replied, his voice imbued with conviction. This leads us to our next power, self-compassion. Grant yourself grace, for we are but travelers on this journey. If, in our fragility, we can hold our mistakes with tenderness, we free ourselves and others to pursue growth unencumbered by shame. As the discussion deepened, the rising sun cast shadows that danced upon the ground, echoing the interplay of light and dark within their souls. What if our shortcomings feel insurmountable? Questioned a younger voice, trembling at the thought. How do we navigate the depths of our fears when it feels like the shadows have claimed our hearts? Elijah listened keenly and responded, in those depths, we must hold tightly to the fourth power, the power of courage. It is not the absence of fear but the commitment to confront it with intention. As we journey forth, we will find fortitude in our vulnerability. Doubt will come, but it is in those moments when we pause and summon the courage within that we affirm our right to choose again. A contemplative silence settled, and as the sun climbed higher, a sense of unity enveloped them. And what, asked a thoughtful elder, of the power we wield against others who may doubt our journey or throw shadows of their own upon our light? That brings us to the fifth power, the power of truth, Elijah proclaimed, his voice steady. The truth of your journey is authored by the one who created you. Stand firm in your narrative, speak your truth with grace and clarity, and let it stand as a testament to your faith. The world may challenge your story, but your light will shine through if anchored in authenticity. As they absorbed each revelation, a sense of excitement began to swell within the group. Still, questions remained, mysteries beckoned with tantalizing clarity. Would their insights hold firm in the face of adversity? Could they continue to harness these powers as stepping stones on their journey? Elijah could feel their resolve solidifying, yet as the shadows of uncertainty stirred in the recesses of their minds, he posed a final question. How will you nurture the flame of these powers within yourselves and one another when darkness inevitably encroaches? Will you dare to carry forth the light in your moments of doubt, or will you allow the silence of despair to stifle your song? And as their thoughts turned inward, the sun shone brightly, illuminating the path yet to unfold, alongside the shadows woven into their personal stories. As the soft glow of dawn faded, the air thickened with anticipation. Each face in the circle shimmered with new possibilities, glints of light reflecting the awakening within. Yet amid the courage and hope that flickered like candle flames, a nameless anxiety lingered, palpable to everyone present. Elijah took in the collective breath of intention, feeling the gravity of what lay ahead. Let us not forget, Elijah began, his voice cut through the stillness with a gentle authority. While we harness the powers within us, we must also acknowledge that there exists a force of distraction, a darkness that seeks to cloud our hearts. This is the shadow of doubt, ever present and insidious. It lurks in the corners of our minds, casting shadows over our truths. A youth from the outskirts, wide-eyed and earnest, spoke up, but how can we recognize these distractions? They often seem like truths to us, whispering of our inadequacies. Elijah nodded, the wisdom of ages shining through his expression. This is the conundrum we all face, discerning the authentic voice from the illusion. The whisper of the divine guides us towards hope and clarity, while the doubts, they serve to anchor us in fear. You must cultivate stillness to listen, within silence, the true voice emerges, revealing the great mystery. A murmur of contemplative agreement passed through the crowd, yet a heaviness remained. A stern-faced man, burdened by life's trials, stepped forward, his voice clear but riddled with concern. And when we lose that stillness? When our surroundings drown out the divine, and we feel ourselves adrift in the chaos of the world? What then? Ah, Elijah replied, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. In those chaotic times, we reach for a sixth power, the power of reflection. Inward contemplation allows us to sift through the noise, yet it requires honesty. We do not shy away from our flaws or fears, but rather, we embrace them. Reflection can illuminate the path scattered with stones of doubt. An elderly man, his face a map of days long lived, interjected. Yet history teaches us that temptation can twist our reflections. We can become ensnared in a loop of self-judgment, can we not? How do we avoid falling under the weight of our own thoughts? Indeed, it is a perilous path, friend, Elijah acknowledged, his voice soothing like the first breeze of spring. This is where the seventh power shines, the power of community. In shared burdens, we unravel the threads of isolation and judgment. Open your hearts to one another. Speak openly, share your stories, and allow others to lighten your load. Remember, together we are woven into a tapestry of divine love, each thread unique yet intrinsically linked. As if in response to his words, a communal sense of relief permeated the air. Each person began to realize that their struggles were not theirs alone, they belonged to the thread of humanity woven by the Creator. Yet, a young widow, her eyes glistening with unspilled tears, posed a question that pierced the newfound calm. But what if our community has hurt us? What if the very people we seek are the ones who have cast us into darkness? Elijah paused, absorbing her vulnerability. That, dear sister, is the heart of the matter. Pain and healing often walk hand in hand. When trust is broken, it is a wound that needs time and space to heal. Yet, it is in the act of forgiveness that we reclaim our power. You must ask for the courage to confront both your hurt and the humanity in others. Understand that we all have within us the capacity to fall short. The woman turned her gaze downward, wrestling with the tension that accompanied such unyielding truth. The crowd remained still, allowing the depths of Elijah's wisdom to anchor their hearts. Sensing the weight of a collective heartache, Elijah sought to ignite a glimmer of hope once more. And perhaps, he offered tenderly, the question we must reflect on is not solely around the hurt we experience but also surrounding our own capacity to heal. Will we choose to extend grace toward both ourselves and others? Can we open our arms to banish the shadows of the past and allow the light of forgiveness to break through? The questions hung heavy in the air, and the interplay of light and dark continued to weave through their contemplations. Each person sat with a heaviness that danced with the question of transformation. Could the land of their pain nurture the seeds of renewal? Would they summon the courage to venture into the unknown territory of trust again, even in the face of the scars left behind? As the sun reached its apex, illuminating their faces with nurturing warmth, Elijah sent his gaze outward, wondering how each soul would navigate this significant crossroads on their journey. Would they embrace the power of light amidst their shadows, or would fear hold them captive in the silence once more? As the sun crowned the sky, casting brilliant rays across the gathered souls, a serene stillness enveloped them. It was in that moment of warmth and illumination that a new voice arose, an elder woman with silver threads adorning her hair, her eyes glimmering with the weight of unspoken wisdom. Elijah, you speak of power and community, yet should we not also consider the power of the written word? Her voice was rich with experience, echoing the resonance of timeless tales. In the sacred texts of our forefathers, there lies a heritage we can draw upon, stories that cradle our understanding and illuminate the paths of righteousness. Intrigued, the crowd turned their attention to her. You speak of truth, Elijah affirmed thoughtfully. The recorded word indeed carries the weight of experience and faith. But what if the darkness distorts those narratives? What if our interpretations lead us astray? The woman nodded knowingly. That is the greatest challenge, for each heart interprets in its own way. Yet the purest truths endure, transcending interpretations. They can guide us if we are willing to delve deeply and discern what resonates with the spirit of love and compassion. As the shadows danced on the ground, a thoughtful man from the delegation interrupted, but in our search for truth, can we not also fall prey to rigid beliefs, allowing our convictions to close our hearts? His question hung amidst the group, threading vulnerability through the fabric of their gathering. Elijah, pensive yet hopeful, replied, the balance of conviction with openness is a delicate dance. Yes, we must hold firm to our truths, but we also must remain willing to question and adapt, much like a tree that bends in the wind. This brings us to the eighth power, the power of humility. What if we allowed ourselves to question our own beliefs, not as a weakness, but as a strength, allowing ourselves to grow beyond the confines of certainty? The ground beneath their feet felt charged, each individual contemplating the idea of humility as a beacon guiding them through the dense fog of misinterpretation. Yet, a woman stood up, her posture defiant, yet the tremor in her voice revealed a fragile heart. But, dear Elijah, do we not risk losing ourselves in the process? If we question the very core of our beliefs, what remains? Elijah gazed upon her, a gentle empathy radiating from his eyes. To question is not to negate, it is to deepen our understanding. Just as a sculptor chisels away stone to reveal the beauty within, so too must we unearth the layers that may obscure our true essence. Only then can we truly forge connections with one another that reflect our shared divinity. As the conversation intensified, a young man, burdened by emotional scars, asked, "What if we question to our heart's content, yet still experience confusion, still feel lost? How do we navigate our journey when we are confronted with so many options, with so many varying truths?" Elijah said, his gaze unwavering. That uncertainty is a common thread in the fabric of existence. In the infinite choices life presents, we must embrace the ninth power, the power of intuition. Trust the whispers of your spirit that resonate within. They often lead us where our rational minds cannot tread. In the stillness, the heart knows the way home, beyond the struggles our minds create. A ripple of understanding washed over the crowd, nourishing their journey of introspection. Yet, the threads connecting them were still frail. A young woman's voice seeped through, echoing a fear many shared. But what if we misinterpret our intuition? What if it leads us astray, just as our doubts do? Elijah took a moment to respond, his voice a soothing balm. We are flawed beings, capable of misperceptions. Yet in the act of seeking, we cultivate resilience. Listen to your intuition, but also balance it with the insights of your community and the wisdom of the ancient texts. It is in this interplay that clarity often blooms. A low hum of contemplation seized the gathering as they absorbed these teachings, yet tensions still lingered in the corners of their minds, each grappling with the potential pitfalls of progression. Elijah, sensing the weight of their unspoken anxieties, took a deep breath and broke the silence that loomed. Remember, dear friends, the journey toward wisdom is not a straight path but a winding road. Each twist and turn reveals another dimension of our experience. Have faith in the process. As we embrace vulnerability and open ourselves to reflection, what new understandings might unfold? How might the conflict between our truths and interpretations guide us toward a deeper connection with one another and our Creator? As his questions hung in the air, a soft breeze whispered through the assembly, gently urging their hearts to ponder, were they ready to embark on this boundless exploration of faith, or would uncertainty entangle them in fear once more? As the winds of contemplation and uncertainty wove through the gathering, the very air seemed to shift, humming with the earnest thoughts of those seeking to understand their paths in the struggle between faith and doubt. They felt a yearning for clarity, but within their hearts, a chaotic symphony of questions played on repeat. It was then that an elder man, with a weathered face that spoke of trials and tribulations, rose from the crowd, drawing attention with his silent strength. "Esteemed Elijah," he began, his voice deep and resonant, "you speak of intuition and community, yet I ponder the darkness that looms not just in misinterpretation, but in the very existence of malevolence around us. Do we not recognize the shadow that seeks to disrupt our harmony? How do we stand firm against these unseen forces?" The crowd fell silent, the question evoking a palpable tension, as uneasy murmurs rippled among them. Elijah regarded the elder with respect but also with the understanding of deeper meanings buried within this inquiry. The adversary, the presence of darkness, he responded slowly, choosing his words with care. Indeed, we live in a realm where light and dark coalesce in an eternal dance of influence. Yet, consider this, darkness cannot create, it can only distort what is already present. The powers we nurture within ourselves are our shield and our might against that which seeks to lead us astray. An air of trepidation followed his words, as if the very essence of evil loomed just beyond their collective sight. A voice emerged from a corner, soft yet earnest. But how do we discern what is true power? What if we are drawing from a well that is tainted? How can we trust our own strength when shadows still lurk within us? Elijah felt the weight of her words, for such concerns were not uncommon. This, dear friend, is where the 10th power enters, the power of love. It is the most formidable force against darkness. Love nurtures our spirits, allows us to see beyond our fears, and serves as the true light in an often posing darkness. When we choose to love ourselves, our neighbors, even those who differ from us, we weave a tapestry of resilience that empowers us against the chaos surrounding us. As he spoke, the crowd began to draw closer, eyes flickering with an ember of hope, yet the woman who had previously questioned him stood unfalteringly, an embodiment of defiance. But what if, in the name of love, we become blind? What if our intentions, however pure, lead us to protect evil instead of illuminating it? Are we not susceptible to the very dangers we seek to dispel? Elijah, unflinching under her fiery gaze, responded, "To love is not to be ignorant, rather, true love invites discernment. It requires wisdom and compassion to navigate the intricate web of intentions. We must question our motives and come together as a community, sharing our insights and growing together. How we wield love can either elevate our truths or obscure them through bias. It asks us to tread softly, continually mindful of our collective shadows." The gathering held its breath as another voice, soft yet strong, echoed through the assembly. It was a familiar voice, trembling with uncertainty but fierce in its search for resolution. "Elijah, you speak of love as a guide, yet when faced with betrayal or loss, how do we cultivate that love? How can we believe in the encountered power when pain lingers like a ghost upon our hearts?" "Ah," Elijah replied, drawing closer, his voice low yet resonant, "the journey through pain is indeed one of the most profound tests of love. We are invited to acknowledge our wounds and hold space for them. Pain does not extinguish love, rather, it can deepen its roots. In the act of enduring and processing our afflictions, we return to the essence of the divine within us. It is a paradox, one that seeks to stretch our understanding of both love and vulnerability." As this truth was met with thoughtful nods and whispered agreements, one last voice cracked the silence. A young boy, hesitant yet bold, waved his hand, his bright eyes gleaming with curiosity. "But if love is the greatest power, how do we share it with those who do not wish to receive it? What if they push us away and choose darkness instead?" Elijah's gaze softened at the boy's pure heart, realizing the authenticity of that concern. "This is where the power of choice enters, my young friend. We cannot force love upon others, nor can we control their reactions. The beauty of love lies in its freedom. We can extend it, but ultimately, it is the recipient's heart that must open to its embrace. What matters, however, is our own commitment to radiate love, regardless of the response. That is our greatest defense against the shadows. It allows us to remain grounded amid chaos, to walk steadfast in our truth." With these penetrating words, the crowd paused, swirling in contemplation. Elijah sensed the shift, the foundation of their understanding beginning to solidify while still remaining fragile, like a freshly spun web glistening with dew. As he watched the reflections dance in their eyes, he contemplated the power of choice, the power to love, and how deeply intertwined they were. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows upon the ground, he thought, "May we ever tread the path of humility and love, but what becomes of us when we understand that darkness must coexist with light, and how do we learn to love not just in times of ease, but amid our deepest trials?" The tension in the air held its breath as twilight descended softly upon the gathering. Elijah, bathed in the golden glow of the setting sun, felt the weight of his people's questions rest heavily on his shoulders. Each soul before him stood at the crossroads of understanding, of an awakening that sought to liberate them from the shadows they had long feared. In the quiet of the moment, he sensed the convergence of their voices, a symphony of longing and uncertainty mingling with the evening breeze. What becomes of us, an elder questioned, her voice fragile yet steady, when we look around and find darkness still entwined with the light we mean to share? What if the shadows we confront turn out to be reflections of our own? Ah, beloved friend, Elijah responded, his heart swelling with empathy. To confront the darkness within is a journey most vital. Each shadow carries lessons, and within every misstep lies an opportunity to rise anew. When you acknowledge your own darkness, you reclaim the power to transform it. Forgive not only others but yourself, and therein lies the seed of growth. In vulnerability comes strength, a light that not only allows you to shine brighter but offers warmth to those lost amidst their own darkness. As the words flowed, the crowd found themselves bound in a shared understanding. The shadows that once seemed insurmountable began to lose their grasp. The elderly woman, feeling the warmth of hope kindle within, whispered, "But how do we ensure that the darkness does not consume us? How can we safeguard our hearts from its insidious grip?" Elijah raised his hands toward the heavens, as if seeking guidance from the very stars that twinkled above. This is where the collective strength of community serves its most profound purpose. Together, we can shield one another. The light of kindness, compassion, and understanding grows exponentially when shared. Let us establish a circle of unity, one that offers reassurance during trials, that listens without judgment, and that, in these moments of doubt, reminds each of us of our inherent worth. The stars above yielded their shimmering light, illuminating the gathering as clarity began to settle in the hearts of the people. They sensed the dawn of a newfound resolve. They were not to fight alone. The burden of darkness, when shared with love, transformed from a heavy chain into an intricate web strong enough to withstand the fiercest storms, yet lingering whispers still echoed among them. What if our efforts fall short? What if we strive for light but find ourselves stumbling back into the abyss? Asked a young woman, her voice quaking with fear. "Ah," Elijah said, his eyes alight with understanding, "we must let go of the grip of perfection and embrace the rhythm of grace. Every stumble, every fear, is a step in the dance of existence. What if the true miracle is not in the absence of darkness but in our ability to rise, again and again, even when all seems lost?" Real faith is not always unwavering, it is the choice to radiate light despite the shadows that linger. In those simple truths, there was a shift, the crowd's hearts expanded, their fears slowly transforming into a collective strength. With each passing moment, they began to understand that darkness was not their enemy but a part of the mosaic of life, a space that prompted growth, reflection, and ultimately, transformation. Are you willing to come together, to confront both your fears and your shadows collectively? Elijah's voice cut through the breath of night, resonating with unwavering conviction. This moment is a call to action, an invitation to awaken the powers within you, the powers of love, community, and purpose. When you step into the light, you invite others to do the same. From the gathered multitude, a young boy, a mere vessel of innocence, stepped forward, his eyes alight with a newfound spark. But how do we know we have truly awakened these powers? How can we be sure our hearts are open and willing? Elijah kneeled before him, eye to eye, offering an unwavering gaze filled with love and wisdom. "You will know by the resonance of your heart, dear child. When you lean into love, forgive your shortcomings, and allow vulnerability to blossom without fear, the light will guide your path. It is in the shared stories of joy and pain, in the strength of your hearts united, that you will witness the undeniable presence of divinity weaving through your lives. This journey is but the beginning, a manifestation of courage fueled by the divine light that resides in us all." As twilight began to surrender to night, and the moon cast its soft glow upon them, the crowd felt an electric shift in their hearts. They were no longer alone. They were threads woven together in a tapestry of hope, a profound revelation that they could choose light every single day, even amid the shadows. With that powerful realization, Elijah raised his arms to the heavens. "Let us bind ourselves with love and courage. Let us convene in unity. For here, tonight, we are not merely a gathering, we are a movement, a force capable of shattering the darkness. The adversary may attempt to ensnare us, but in the presence of our collective spirit, he falters. We rise as one." And with hearts intertwined in purpose, they echoed his words back, a powerful declaration both fervent and fierce. We rise as one. We choose love over fear. We share our light and rise together. Their voices soared into the night, the reverberation of unity transforming the very fabric of their existence. As the last echoes hung in the cool desert air, something extraordinary happened. In that moment of collective resolution, the stars twinkled even brighter, illuminating the vast expanse above, a divine response to their awakening. The darkness, once foreboding, now became a canvas upon which their light could shine boldly. Elijah beamed with joy, understanding that this congregation of souls had been transformed. They had confronted their fears, embraced their shadows, and lifted one another up. And thus, the final chapter of this extraordinary story unfolded, a testament to the journey of awakening, redemption, and the sheer power of love. In the echoes of their declaration, there resonated a promise: though trials may come, though darkness may loom, they would never again face the shadows alone. In this unity, they discovered not merely a way forward, but a way of being woven in love and courage, standing vigilant against the tides of adversity, equipped with the unwavering truth that they were light. May we always shine brightly, together. Elijah whispered into the night, urging their hearts to hold fast to the revelation that indeed remained: they were the light, they were the love, and they were destined to illuminate the world.